I am sitting across from the bank manager with a folder full of statements I just printed out. My hands are shaking so much that the papers are making noise against the desk. The man looks at me with a mix of concern and professionalism as he points a finger at one transaction after another. Designer clothing boutiques, Italian suit shops, luxury shoe stores, expensive restaurants, more than $20,000 in 6 months, and I did not authorize a single one of those purchases. What has me on the verge of collapse is not just the money. I have enough to recover from that. It is the answer my son gave me just 2 hours ago when I confronted him over the phone. His voice sounded tired, almost bored, when he said, "It is her life, Dad. I do not get involved in what Emily does," as if talking about his own wife's infidelity paid for with my money was as trivial as commenting on the weather. Before I tell you how I got to this moment, I need you to help me. Please leave a comment and tell me what city or state you are listening from. I would like to know that I am not alone in this, that there are people out there who understand what it feels like when your own family betrays you in the vilest way. My name is Robert Miller. I am 63 years old and I live, or used to live because I do not know if I want to stay here anymore, in Houston, Texas. I am a retired civil engineer. For 40 years, I raised buildings, bridges, and complete housing developments. I worked from 18 to 58 without stopping, saving every dollar I could, investing wisely, sacrificing vacations and luxuries to build a solid legacy. I have 3 properties completely paid off. This house where I live, a condo downtown that I rent out, and a small beach house in Florida. I have investments, savings accounts, and a quite generous retirement fund. I am not a millionaire, but I do not have to worry about money either, or at least that is what I thought. My wife Linda died 5 years ago from a heart problem that nobody saw coming. Since then, this house feels too big, too empty. My son Michael is the only close family I had left. He is 35 years old. He works at a logistics company. He earns well, but nothing extraordinary. 4 years ago, he married Emily, a 32-year-old woman. Good-looking, always fixed up with perfect nails and salon hair. From the beginning I noticed something about her, a kind of calculating coldness. But I told myself it was just my impression, that maybe I was being too protective of my son. When they got married, I wanted to help them. I gave them the down payment for a nice house in the suburbs. I did not gift it to them completely. I do not believe in spoiling adult children, but I gave them a significant push. Michael was grateful. Emily smiled and gave me a hug that felt rehearsed, as if she were acting in a play. But well, I thought, she is young. Maybe that is just her way. The first 2 years were quiet. They came to eat on Sundays. I would prepare my barbecue steaks for them, something I learned to do very well after Linda passed, and we talked about life. Emily always arrived with her phone in her hand, sending messages, checking social media, laughing alone at videos she never shared. Michael seemed not to notice, or maybe he had already gotten used to it. About a year ago, more or less, I started noticing subtle changes. Emily arrived with bags from expensive stores: Nordstrom, Saks Fifth Avenue, Hugo Boss. I did not say anything at first. After all, if my son wanted to spoil his wife, it was his money and his decision. But the bags were becoming more frequent, and not just for her. One day I saw her taking a men's leather jacket out of a bag from an Italian boutique. "Did you buy something for Michael?" I asked with genuine curiosity. She went rigid for half a second, then she let out a laugh and said, "Oh yes, it is a gift for my brother. It is his birthday." I did not know her brother had a birthday. In fact, I barely knew her family. They never went to gatherings. She never mentioned them. But I did not give it importance. I thought maybe they were a distant family, the kind that does not visit much. The first real sign that something was wrong arrived 6 months ago. I had been struggling with my computer. Something with the internet was not working right, and I called Michael to come check it. He arrived after work, tired with dark circles under his eyes. He brought his laptop to download some programs my machine needed. While he worked in the living room, I went to the kitchen to make coffee. When I returned, I saw he had left his phone on the coffee table. The screen was lit up because a message had arrived. I am not one of those people who checks other people's phones. I respect privacy, but the name on the notification caught my attention. Chase Bank. Purchase alert. Underneath it said, purchase for $450 at Hugo Boss Galleria. The date was that same day, just 2 hours prior. I asked Michael when he came back from connecting some cables. Son, did you go shopping today? He looked up confused. Shopping? No, Dad. I came straight from work. Why, I pointed to the notification on his phone. He took it, reviewed it, and his expression changed. It was not surprise. It was resignation. Ah, yes. Emily stopped by for some things. She uses my card sometimes. $400 in one afternoon, I asked, trying not to sound critical, but unable to avoid it. He sighed. It is just. You know how she is. She likes to look good. Something in his tone made me uncomfortable. It was not the tone of a man proud to spoil his wife. It was the tone of someone tired, defeated, someone who does not want to fight anymore. But I did not insist. It was not my place to question how they managed their marriage. 2 months later, I received a call from the bank. A very kind woman named Patricia informed me that they had detected unusual activity on one of my credit cards. Did you make purchases at a store called Men's Warehouse on the highway yesterday afternoon? She asked. I was at home all day yesterday. I had not even gone out. No, miss. I did not make that purchase. I understand, Mr. Miller. I am going to proceed to block the card and report the charge as fraudulent. Does anyone else have access to your card? That question hit me like a bucket of cold water. Mentally, I reviewed the possibilities. I kept my cards in my wallet, which I always carried with me or left in the drawer of my nightstand. The only person who had been in my house recently aside from the lady who comes to clean on Tuesdays was Emily. She had come 3 days before saying Michael had asked her to pick up some documents I was holding for him. She was in the house maybe 15 minutes. I was in the study organizing papers. She said she was going to the bathroom. Miss, I said with a controlled voice, although inside I felt something breaking. Do not report the charge yet. Let me verify something first. Just block the card. Of course, Mr. Miller. The card is already blocked. Is there anything else I can help you with? Yes. Can you tell me how many purchases have been made with that card in the last 6 months? There was a pause, the sound of keyboard typing. Mr. Miller, I see here a total of 23 transactions, mostly in clothing stores and restaurants. The accumulated amount is $12,400. I felt the floor moving beneath my feet. $12,000. I had not used that card for anything. I had it stored precisely because it was my emergency card with a high limit that I only touched in case of something serious. Can you send me the detailed statement of the last 6 months? To my email, I asked, trying to keep calm. Of course, Mr. Miller. It will arrive in the next few minutes. I hung up the phone and stayed sitting on the armchair in the living room, staring at the wall. My mind was working at 1,000 miles per hour. Emily had been in my house several times in the last few months, always with some excuse. Pick this up. Drop that off. Use the bathroom. Look for a recipe of Linda's that supposedly Michael wanted. I, like a trusting idiot, never suspected anything. I opened my computer and waited for the email. When it arrived, I printed all the sheets. 22 pages of transactions. I started reviewing them one by one with a knot in my stomach that grew with each line. Hugo Boss, 1,200. Brooks Brothers, 800. Italian Suits, 1,500. Fine Dining, 400. Steakhouse, 300. And so it went, page after page. They were not purchases for a woman. They were purchases of men's clothing, men's shoes, dinners at romantic restaurants at hours when Michael was working. I grabbed my phone and called my son. He answered on the 3rd ring. Dad, is everything okay, Michael? I need you to come to the house now. Now, Dad, I am in a meeting. Can it be tonight? No, son. I need you to come now. It is urgent. Something in my tone must have alerted him because he said, "Okay, give me 30 minutes." When he arrived, I had all the sheets spread out on the dining room table. He entered with a face of worry. "What happened?" "Dad, are you okay?" I pointed to the papers. "Sit down and look at this." Michael approached, looked at the sheets, and I saw how his face gradually paled. He took one sheet, then another. "What is this?" "It is the statement of my credit card, the one someone has been using without my permission for the last 6 months. $12,000 in men's clothes and expensive restaurants." Michael let himself fall into a chair. He ran his hands over his face. "It cannot be." "Did you know something about this?" I asked him directly. He did not answer. He just looked at the papers as if they were something from another world. "Michael, I asked you a question." He started to say, but stopped. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and then said something I will never forget. "Dad, I do not want to talk about this." "What do you mean, you do not want to talk about this?" I exploded. "Someone has been robbing me, using my money. And that someone has to be Emily because she is the only one who has had access to my house." "Maybe it was the cleaning lady," he murmured without conviction. "The cleaning lady has been working with me for 12 years, and a penny has never gone missing. And look at the dates, Michael. Look at the days. They all coincide with days when Emily came here." Michael stood up abruptly. "Dad, leave it like that. I will repay you the money. You will repay me $12,000. Little by little, I will make payments. But please do not make this bigger." "Bigger?" I repeated in disbelief. "Michael, do you realize your wife is stealing from me, and you knew it?" He looked at me with tired red eyes. I did not know for certain, but I suspected. I felt something break inside me. "And you said nothing. You did nothing. What did you want me to do?" "Dad," his voice rose in tone, "confront her. Fight. We already have enough problems." "What problems?" Michael went silent. He shook his head. "Forget it. I will fix this. Just give me time. I need to know the truth, son. If there's anything else I should know, tell me now." Michael walked toward the door. Before leaving, he turned and looked at me with an expression I had never seen on him. It was pain mixed with shame. "Dad, Emily does what she wants. I can no longer control her. If you want to confront her, go ahead. But I am not going to be in the middle. And who is she buying thousands of dollars of men's clothing for?" I shouted as he left. Michael stopped in the doorway. Without turning, he said, "I do not know. And honestly, I do not even want to know." The door closed. I stayed alone in that living room, surrounded by papers that documented a betrayal I was barely beginning to understand. But what hurt me most was not the money. It was knowing that my son knew something, suspected something, and had preferred to look the other way. That night, I could not sleep. I stayed awake thinking, trying to understand how we had reached this point, how I had not noticed before. At 3 a.m, I turned on my computer and started searching on the internet. How to track credit card usage, how to investigate family fraud, signs of financial infidelity. I found articles, forums, testimonies of people who had gone through similar things. Some practical advice. Most of the pages recommended documenting everything, saving evidence, and if necessary, hiring professional help. The next day, I did something I never thought I would have to do. I hired a private investigator. I felt ridiculous doing it, as if I were in a cheap movie, but I needed to know the complete truth. The investigator was named Jack Norris. He was a man of about 50, ex-cop, with a small but professional office downtown. I explained the situation to him. I showed him the statements. I gave him photos of Emily. "Mr. Miller," he told me after reviewing everything, "this is more common than you think. And generally when there is this pattern of purchases, expensive men's clothes, restaurants, repetitive expenses, there is someone else in the equation." "A lover?" I asked, although I already knew the answer. "Most likely. What we need to do is confirm who it is, document the encounters, and gather solid evidence. What do you want to do with this information when we have it?" That question left me thinking. What did I want to do? Confront Emily. Seek to get my money back. Press charges force. Michael, to see the truth? First, I want to know the complete truth, I responded. Then I will decide. Jack nodded. Understood. I'm going to need you to give me access to your updated statement. And I will also need you to inform me every time she visits your house or has any contact with you. Do you have access to your son's phone or hers? No. Do you know her routines? Do you know where she works? Emily does not work. Or at least that is what she says. Supposedly she is looking for a job, but she has been looking for 2 years. Jack wrote something in his notebook. Perfect. That gives us plenty of daytime to follow her. I am going to start tomorrow. I ask for patience. These investigations can take from a few days to a couple of weeks. I left that office feeling strange. A part of me could not believe I was hiring someone to spy on my daughter-in-law. The other part knew it was necessary. During the following days, I tried to act normal. Michael called me once to ask how I was. I told him fine, that I was thinking things over. He seemed relieved that I did not press more. Emily sent me a WhatsApp message 3 days after my conversation with Michael. Hi, Dad. How are you? We have not seen you in days. Are you coming to lunch on Sunday? The fake sweetness turned my stomach, but I responded normally. Sure, I will be there. On Sunday, I arrived at their apartment with a lemon pie I bought at a bakery. Emily opened the door with a huge smile. She was wearing a clearly expensive new dress and high heels. Dad, what a pleasure to see you. Come in, come in. The house was impeccable. Michael came out of the bedroom in sweatpants and a casual shirt. He looked tired. We sat down to eat. Emily had prepared a roast. Not as good as Linda's, but edible. During the meal, she spoke nonstop about a friend of hers who was getting married, about a Netflix series she was watching, about a new spa she wanted to visit. I watched her. Every gesture, every word. I looked for signs clues. At one moment, her phone rang. She checked it, smiled, and put it away quickly. Who was it? Michael asked with a neutral tone. My cousin. She is sending me memes, Emily responded without looking him in the eyes. After eating, while Emily cleared the table, Michael and I stayed in the living room. Have you thought about it? He asked me in a low voice. About the money. Yes, I responded, and I am going to get to the bottom of this, son. He closed his eyes. Dad, please do not look for her. Do not provoke her. Why do you defend her? I am not defending her. I just do not want more problems. Michael, you are my son. Why do I feel like you are on her side and not mine? He looked at me with glassy eyes. Because she is my wife, Dad. Because no matter how badly she does things, I made a commitment. Even if that commitment means letting her rob me. He did not answer. Emily returned to the living room at that moment, drying her hands with a kitchen towel. What are you chatting about? You look very serious. Nothing, my love, Michael said, standing up. My dad has to go. I said goodbye. Emily gave me a hug that felt false, calculated. Take care, Dad. Do not stop visiting us. That night, Jack called me. Mr. Miller, I have something. Can you come to the office tomorrow? What did you find I prefer to show you in person? Bring time. You are going to need to sit down for this. The next day I arrived at Jack's office with my stomach in a knot. He received me with a serious face and invited me in. On his desk there was a laptop and a folder. Mr. Miller, I have been following your daughter-in-law for 5 days, and what I found confirms what you suspected. He opened the laptop and showed me a series of photographs. Emily entering a residential building downtown. Emily leaving the same building 2 hours later. Emily in a restaurant with a young man maybe 30 years old. Athletic, well-dressed. Them laughing, them holding hands. Them kissing in the parking lot. I felt my blood boil. Who is he? His name is Damian Rivers. He is 29 years old. He is a personal trainer at a luxury gym downtown. According to what I could find out, she met him about a year ago when she joined the gym. Since then, they see each other regularly. He lives in that apartment I showed you. And look at this. Jack opened another folder of photos. Damien leaving the building wearing a jacket that I recognized immediately. It was the Hugo Boss jacket that appeared on my statement. She is buying him clothes with my money, I said in a low voice, almost to myself. Not just clothes. She is also paying for his gym membership, according to a receptionist who talked a bit too much. There is a very clear pattern here, Mr. Miller. Your daughter-in-law is supporting her lover with your money. I leaned back in the chair. I felt a mixture of rage, sadness, and disgust. And my son, does he know? I do not know. But there is something else you should know. Jack took out another photograph. It was Emily entering a law office. Yesterday I followed her here. It is a law firm specializing in divorces. She was inside for an hour and a half. The world stopped. She is planning to divorce Michael. It seems so. And if she is consulting lawyers, she is probably looking for a way to keep the majority of the assets. The house you helped them buy, for example. Everything started to fit. Emily was not only robbing me. She was preparing her exit. She was accumulating money, buying things for her lover, and planning to leave Michael in the most advantageous way for her. What do I do now? I asked Jack. That depends on you, Mr. Miller. Legally, you can press charges for fraud. You have all the evidence. You can also talk to your son and show him all this, or you can confront her directly. My recommendation is that you first talk to a lawyer, protect your assets, and then decide how to proceed. I left that office with the folder of evidence under my arm. I felt as if I had aged 10 years in a week, but I also felt something else, a cold and clear determination. Emily had made a mistake. She had underestimated her father-in-law, and now she was going to face the consequences. That afternoon, I called Michael and asked him to come to the house. He arrived nervous. He knew something was coming. I showed him the photos, one by one. I saw how his face went from confusion to understanding, and finally to deep sadness. When I finished, he just said, I already knew. What I already knew, Dad, since months ago. I found messages. I confronted her. She told me he was just a friend. I wanted to believe her, and for that, you let her rob me. Michael looked up. His eyes were full of tears. I did not let anything happen, Dad. I did not know about your card, I swear to you. But when you told me, I suspected, and I was afraid to investigate because I knew what I was going to find. And what are you going to do now? Michael wiped his eyes. I do not know. I have to think. Son, she is seeing divorce lawyers. She is going to leave you, and she is going to try to keep everything. He nodded slowly. I know. I think that. I think a part of me was already expecting this. I hugged him. My son. My only son broken by a woman who never valued him. We are going to fix this, I told him. Together. But I need you to trust me. Michael nodded against my shoulder. And so began the plan that would change everything. The following days were a strange mix of acting and strategy. Michael and I agreed that we could not let Emily suspect that we knew the truth. We had to be smart, cold, calculating, just like she had been with us. The first thing I did was visit a lawyer specializing in family law and fraud. His name was Attorney Henry Stevens, a man of about 55 with 30 years of experience. I showed him all the evidence, the statements, the investigators' photographs, the logs of Emily's visits to my house that I had started documenting in a notebook since my suspicions began. Attorney Stevens reviewed everything carefully, nodding, occasionally, making notes on a legal pad. When he finished, he took off his glasses and looked directly at me. Mr. Miller, you have a solid case of fraud. This woman used your credit card without authorization. That is a crime. We can proceed criminally if you wish. However, I have to warn you that these cases can become complicated and painful, especially because they involve your family. How complicated? I asked. Emily could allege that you gave her permission to use the card. It would be your word against hers. Although the private investigator's evidence is strong, the purchases of men's clothing, the photos with the lover, she could hire a good lawyer and drag out the process. Besides, this would definitely destroy any possibility of a cordial relationship with your son. My son is already on my side. I clarified. He is also a victim here. I am glad to hear that. Then we have an advantage. Now let's talk about your son. You mentioned that the house where they live is in both names. Correct. Yes, I gave the down payment, but the mortgage is in both names. Michael has been paying the monthly installments. Good. That means, in case of divorce, that asset is divided. But there is something else we must consider urgently. The lawyer leaned forward. If she is consulting divorce lawyers, as the evidence indicates, she likely already has a plan. In these cases, the wife usually tries to prove that the husband has more resources than he really has, or try to link parents' assets as part of the matrimonial wealth. A chill ran down my spine. Are you saying she could come for my properties? Not directly, but she could try to argue that you gave money to your son during the marriage, and that money should be considered part of the common assets. It is twisted, but I have seen cases like that. My recommendation is that you protect your assets immediately. We need to document that your properties are exclusively yours, that the financial support you gave were loans or donations prior to the marriage, and we need to ensure she does not have access to any other account or card of yours. I already canceled the card she was using. Perfect. Do you have other cards? Yes, 2 more. And my bank accounts. Change all passwords today. If she has access to your email or any online account, change everything. And check if there are strange movements in your other accounts. I left that office with a clear to-do list and a new fear installed in my chest. Emily was not just an unfaithful and thieving wife. She was potentially much more dangerous than I had imagined. That same afternoon, I sat in front of my computer and started changing passwords. Bank email investment accounts, Netflix, Amazon, everything. While I was doing it, I reviewed the movements of my other 2 credit cards. One was clean. The other had 3 small charges I did not recognize. A pharmacy, a convenience store, a gas station, small amounts. $10 here, 15 there. Nothing that would have caught my attention on a normal statement. But now, with eyes open, I saw the pattern. They were test purchases. Emily had been testing if those cards worked, making small charges to see if I noticed. Since I said nothing, she was probably planning to make bigger purchases later. I called the bank immediately and blocked that card too. The representative asked if I wanted to report fraud. Not yet, I told her. Just block it for now. That night Michael came to dinner. He had brought Chinese food, chow mein fried rice spring rolls. We ate in silence for a few minutes. He looked haggard, as if he had not slept well in days. Did you talk to her? I asked finally. No. I am acting as if nothing happened, just like you told me. Michael left his chopsticks on the plate. But it is hard, Dad. I get to the house, and she is there smiling, asking me how work went, and I can only think about the photos you showed me, about that guy, about everything she did. I know, son, but we need time to prepare well. The lawyer says we have to protect your assets before she can act. My assets. Dad, the only thing I have is the condo, and it is in both names. You have your salary, your savings, your car, and you have the right to half of that condo. We are not going to let her keep more than what corresponds to her. Michael nodded, but I saw defeat in his eyes. Sometimes I wonder if it is worth fighting. Maybe I should just leave everything to her and start over. No, I said firmly. You are not going to do that. That woman robbed you. She robbed me. She cheated on you. She lied to you. Now she is planning to leave you and keep everything she can. We are not going to allow it. You worked for that condo. I worked for my money. We are not going to gift it to her and her lover. Michael looked at me with a mix of gratitude and sadness. When did I become so weak, Dad? You are not weak. You trusted the wrong person. That does not make you weak. It makes you human. We spent the rest of the night talking about the next steps. Attorney Stevens had given us clear instructions. Michael had to open a new bank account, where she did not have access, and start depositing his salary there. He had to document all the payments he had made on the condo monthly installments, utilities, maintenance. He had to save all communication with Emily, text messages, emails, everything. And one more thing I told him. I need you to invite her to dinner here next Saturday. Michael frowned. What for? I need to talk to her face to face. But in a controlled environment where I have the advantage. What are you going to tell her? I do not know exactly yet. But I need to see her, observe her. I need to understand what she is thinking. Michael hesitated, but finally accepted. Okay, I will tell her that you insisted on having a family dinner. Saturday arrived faster than I expected. I spent the afternoon preparing roast beef, a dish Linda loved to make, and that I had perfected after her death. I set the table with the good tablecloth. I took out the china plates we used only on special occasions. I wanted everything to look normal, familiar, warm. Michael and Emily arrived at 7 sharp. She was wearing a navy blue dress, heels her hair perfectly styled. She greeted me with a kiss on the cheek and that rehearsed smile that already turned my stomach. Dad, what a nice gesture to have this dinner. It smells delicious. Thanks, Emily. Come in, sit down. Everything is ready. During dinner, I kept the conversation light. We talked about the weather, about a series they were watching, about some neighbors who were moving. Emily ate delicately, wiping her mouth with a napkin after every bite. Michael barely tasted the food, pushing it around the plate with his fork. At one moment, Emily's phone vibrated. She checked it quickly and smiled. Sorry, it is my mom, she said, putting it away. How's your family? I asked with a casual tone. Good, good. You know, normal. I have not seen them in a long time. When was the last time they came to Houston? Emily hesitated for a fraction of a second. Oh, well, it has been like 6 months. Yes, like 6 months. It is just that they live far away, in Ohio. So they do not come very often. I knew it was a lie. The investigator had verified that Emily's family lived in Dallas, not Ohio. It was a small but revealing detail. Even in insignificant things, she lied. After dinner, while Michael helped to clear the table, Emily and I stayed alone in the living room. I seized the moment. Emily, I want to talk to you about something important. She looked at me with those big, innocent eyes. Of course, Dad, tell me. I have been thinking a lot about the future. I am already 63. I am not eternal, and I want to make sure that when I am gone, things are clear for Michael. I saw how her eyes shone with interest. Oh, Dad, do not talk like that. You are still very strong. Thank you, but it is reality. That is why I have been organizing my papers, my accounts, my properties. Everything has to be in order. That is very wise of you. Yes, in fact, I was reviewing my bank statements, and I found something strange. The atmosphere changed subtly, but it changed. Emily went rigid, almost imperceptibly. Strange? Yes, charges I do not recognize. Purchases I did not make on one of my cards. She laughed, but it was a forced laugh. Oh, well, surely it is a bank error, or fraud. There is a lot of that now. That is what I thought, too. That is why I hired an investigator. The silence that followed was dense. Emily looked at me without blinking. An investigator, yes, to track where the card was used. Who used it, that kind of thing. I leaned back in the armchair, observing every micro-expression on her face. Do you know what he discovered? She shook her head, but I saw her swallow hard. Before I could continue, Michael returned from the kitchen. The tension broke. Emily stood up quickly. Oh, my love, it is late. Shall we go tomorrow? I have to get up early. Early for what? Michael asked. To go to the gym? You know, I go Sundays early. Michael and I exchanged a look. The gym? Where Damien worked. Sure, my love. Let's go. They said goodbye. Emily gave me a hug that lasted a second less than normal. Thanks for the dinner, Dad. It was delicious. When they left, I remained standing at the door watching them drive away. Emily had understood the message. She knew that I knew something. Now the question was, what was she going to do about it? I did not have to wait long to find out. 2 days later, on Monday afternoon, I received a call from an unknown number. I answered with caution. "Hello, Mr. Robert Miller." It was a woman's voice, formal, professional. "Yes, that is me. I'm calling from the office of Attorney Monica Ferrer. My boss represents Mrs. Emily Miller. Do you have a few minutes to talk?" My heart started beating faster, but I kept my voice calm. "Go ahead. Mr. Miller, my boss asked me to inform you that Mrs. Emily is considering taking legal action against you for harassment, defamation, and threats." "Excuse me," I almost shouted. "What are you talking about?" "Mrs. Emily alleges that you have been harassing her, making false accusations about her character, and threatening her with damages to her reputation. She is willing not to proceed with a lawsuit if you accept to cease all contact with her and not interfere in her marriage with your son." I felt my blood boil. "That is completely false. I have not harassed her. What I have done is discover that she has been using my credit card without my authorization for personal expenses for more than $12,000. There was a pause. "Mr. Miller, I would recommend you not make those kinds of accusations without evidence. It could constitute defamation. I have all the evidence. Statements, private investigation, everything documented." Another pause. This one longer. "I understand. Well, Mr. Miller, this is just a courtesy call to inform you of the situation. I would recommend you hire a lawyer if you plan to continue with these accusations. Have a good day." She hung up before I could respond. Immediately, I called Attorney Stevens and told him what had happened. He listened with attention and then let out a short laugh. "Mr. Miller, this is exactly what we expected. She is scared. She knows you discovered something and is trying to intimidate you, so you back down. It is a common tactic. But we have to act fast now. What do you suggest we are going to file first? Tomorrow we will go to the district attorney's office to file a formal complaint for fraud, with all the evidence we have. They will have to investigate, and once there is an official investigation, any accusation she attempts to make against you will look like retaliation." "And what about Michael's divorce?" "That is another topic. Your son needs to act too. Is he ready to take the step? I think so." "Then have him come tomorrow morning. We are going to prepare everything at the same time." That night I called Michael and told him about Emily's lawyer. He remained silent for a long while. "There is no turning back, right?" he said finally. "No, son, not anymore." "Okay. Tomorrow I am going with you. I am going to ask for the day off work." On Tuesday we arrived at Attorney Stevens' office at 9 in the morning. We spent 2 hours reviewing documents, signing papers, preparing the statement. At 11 we headed to the police station. The place was exactly as I had imagined. Uncomfortable plastic chairs, gray walls, smell of old coffee and desperation. A detective, a woman of about 40 with a face of having seen it all, attended to us. We presented all the evidence, the statements, the investigators' photographs, the documentation of Emily's visits to my house. The detective reviewed everything meticulously, asking questions, taking notes. "Mr. Miller, did you at any moment give Mrs. Emily Miller permission to use your credit card?" "Never. She took my card without my knowledge or authorization. Can you prove she had access to the card?" "Yes, here I have a log of the dates she visited my house. They coincide exactly with the dates of the first fraudulent purchases." The detective nodded. "I am going to start the investigation file. This will take time. Mrs. Miller will be summoned to declare. There will be a process. Are you prepared for that? Completely." When we left the station, I felt simultaneously relieved and exhausted. Michael walked beside me in silence. "Are you okay, son?" I asked him. "I do not know, Dad. All this is too much. I know, but we did the right thing. She is going to be furious when she receives the summons. Let her be. I do not care any more. But I should have been more careful. I should have anticipated how far Emily was willing to go to protect herself." That same night, around 11, I was about to go to bed when I heard a noise outside. It was the sound of glass breaking. I ran out of the bedroom and saw that the living room window was broken. On the floor was a rock wrapped in paper. With trembling hands, I unwrapped the paper. It was a note, written with tight, furious handwriting. "Old meddler, withdraw the complaint. or you will regret it. This is just the beginning. I called the police immediately. They arrived 20 minutes later. They took photos, filed a report. They asked me if I had any idea who could have done this. I told them I suspected my daughter-in-law, but had no proof. Do you have security cameras? One of the officers asked. No. I would recommend you install some and also be careful. If someone is threatening you, this could escalate. After they left, I sat in the living room surrounded by broken glass holding that threatening note. For the first time since all this started, I felt real fear. Not fear for my money or my properties. Fear for my physical safety. I called Michael. He answered with a sleepy voice. Dad, what happened? I told him about the window and the note. He woke up completely. I am coming over. No, do not come. It is late. I just wanted you to know. Dad, are you okay? Yes, scared, but okay. Tomorrow I am going early, and we are going to install cameras and an alarm. Everything needed. After hanging up, I stayed awake the rest of the night, sitting in the armchair with all the lights on, listening to every noise from the street. I had gotten into a war, and Emily had just demonstrated she was willing to fight dirty. On Wednesday morning, Michael arrived at my house with a technician from a security company. We installed 4 cameras, 1 at the main entrance, 2 covering the sides of the house, and 1 in the backyard. They also installed motion sensors and an alarm connected directly to a monitoring center. While the technicians worked, Michael and I sat in the kitchen with coffee. He looked devastated, with deep circles under his eyes and hands shaking slightly when he lifted the cup. Dad, I have to confess something to you, he said without looking me in the eyes. What happened last night when we hung up? Emily was awake. She asked me who I was talking to. I told her with you. That you had a problem with the window. She smiled. I felt a chill run down my spine. She smiled. Yes, and she said, what a shame. Hopefully your dad is more careful. Dad, I think she had something to do with the window. I know, son. The note was clear. Michael finally looked at me. He had tears in his eyes. How did we get to this? How did I not see who she really was? Because she is very good at acting. She deceived us both. I cannot keep living with her. Every time I see her, I feel disgust, fear. I do not even know what I feel anymore. Then it is time for you to make a decision, son. Attorney Stevens can start the divorce proceedings today if you want. Michael nodded slowly. Yes, let's do it. I cannot take it anymore. That same afternoon, we went to the lawyer's office. Michael signed the necessary papers to start the divorce process. Attorney Stevens explained that given there was evidence of infidelity and fraud, Michael had a very strong position. Ideally, your son should move out. Immediately advised the lawyer. While he lives with her, anything can happen. She could accuse him of domestic violence, of abuse, of whatever, to gain advantage in the process. He can stay with me, I offered immediately. I have plenty of room. Michael hesitated. I do not want to leave you alone. Dad, not after the window incident. Precisely for that reason. We will be safer together. That night, while Emily was at the gym, probably with Damien, Michael packed his essential things. Clothes, important documents, his laptop, some personal objects. He left a letter on the dining room table. Emily, I'm leaving. My lawyer will contact you for the divorce proceedings. Do not try to contact me. Michael. Short, direct, without giving explanations she did not deserve. Michael moved into the house with me that night. We installed his things in the room that had been his bedroom when he was a teenager. It still had some of his old posters in the closet, soccer trophies. Memories of a simpler time. It feels weird to be back, he said while arranging his clothes in the closet. This has always been your house, son. It always will be. That night we dined together, just soup and bread, nothing elaborate, and we stayed up late watching an old movie Linda loved. It was strange and comforting at the same time, as if time had gone back, before Emily, before all this disaster. Emily's response did not wait. The next day, Thursday, Michael started receiving messages, dozens of messages. At first they were of feigned confusion. My love, where are you? Why did you leave? What did I do wrong? Please talk to me. I'm worried. Just tell me you are okay. When Michael did not answer, the messages changed tone. Are you seriously going to do this to me? After everything we have built together, this is how you pay me. Your dad is putting ideas in your head. He wants to destroy our marriage. And finally, when she still got no answer, the messages became threatening. You are going to regret this. You are going to be left with nothing. I am going to make sure you lose everything. Attorney Stevens advised us to document everything but answer nothing. Every message is evidence in our favor, he explained. She is digging her own legal grave. On Friday, the official summons arrived for Emily. She had to present herself the following Tuesday to give her statement regarding the fraud charges. Michael received a photo via WhatsApp from an unknown number. It was the summons with a message. Look at what your dad is causing. On Saturday morning, I was in the garden watering the plants when the gate burst open. It was Emily. She had jumped the gate, something I never thought she would do, and was walking toward me with clenched fists and a face red with fury. You! She shouted. You destroyed my marriage. I stepped back instinctively. Emily, get off my property now. I'm not leaving until we talk. You are going to withdraw that stupid complaint, or I swear that. That what? You are going to throw another rock. You are going to threaten me again. My voice rose in tone despite my intention to remain calm. Michael ran out of the house, hearing the shouting. Emily, what are you doing here? She turned toward him. What am I doing here? I came to talk to your father. He is ruining our lives. There is no our lives, Emily. It is over. Leave. Do you realize what you're doing? We are going to lose everything. The house, the money, everything. You already lost everything when you decided to steal from my dad and cheat on me with your trainer, said Michael with an icy calm I did not know in him. Emily froze. What did you say, Damien? Your lover? The one you saw in the downtown apartment? The one you bought clothes for with my dad's money? Do you think we are idiots? Emily's face went through several emotions in seconds. Shock, fear, and finally pure rage. You investigated me. You hired someone to follow me. That is what you did. We had to know the truth, I responded. You. Emily searched for words, trembling. This is invasion of my privacy. It is illegal. What is illegal is using someone else's credit card without authorization, I replied. What is illegal is fraud, and that is exactly what you are going to answer for on Tuesday. Emily took a step toward me with eyes full of tears of rage. You old bastard! This is not going to stay like this. I swear to you. Enough, Emily intervened, Michael putting himself between her and me. Go now, or I call the police. She looked at us both with pure hate. I'm going to destroy you. Both of you. You are going to regret having done this to me. She turned around and left through the gate, slamming it with such force that the frame shook. Michael immediately took out his phone and checked the security cameras. It recorded everything he said. Every word, the trespassing, the threats, everything. Send it to Attorney Stevens, I indicated. That confrontation should have made me feel victorious. Instead, I felt exhausted and sad. This woman had been part of our family. Michael had loved her, and now she was our enemy. The rest of the weekend was tense. Michael and I barely left the house. We ordered food. Delivery watched movies, tried to maintain certain normality. But we were both nervous, constantly checking the cameras, jumping at any strange noise. Sunday night, around 10, the cameras caught movement. It was an unknown car parking in front of the house. A young athletic man got out, wearing a tight t-shirt. Damien. It is him, said Michael, looking at the matar. It is the lover. Damien walked toward the gate and rang the doorbell. Michael and I exchanged glances. Do not open, I said. Damien rang again, then he shouted, Mr. Miller, I just want to talk. Please, Against my better judgment, I walked to the intercom. What do you want, sir? Please let me speak with you. This is a misunderstanding. I did not know that. That you did not know what? That you were wearing clothes bought with stolen money. that you were sleeping with a married woman. There was silence on the other side. Then, Emily told me they were separated. She told me the marriage had ended months ago. I would have never. Lie, I shouted. Emily lived with my son. They came to my house to eat. You really expect me to believe you thought they were separated? Sir, I just. Look, Emily is out of control. Since you filed the complaint, she is obsessed with hurting you. I came to warn you. She is planning something. That caught my attention. What is she planning? I do not know exactly, but she is talking to some people. People who do not look good. Heavy guys. I told her to stop. That this had already gotten out of control. But she does not listen to me. She does not even answer my calls anymore. I just wanted you to know. Be careful. Why do you tell me this? I asked, genuinely confused. Because this is not what I signed up for. I thought Emily was someone different, but I have seen her change. She became dangerous, and I do not want to be part of this. Damien walked away from the gate and returned to his car. We saw him leave on the monitor. Michael looked at me with worry. Do you think he is telling the truth? I do not know, but we cannot risk it. I called Attorney Stevens immediately and told him what happened. He listened with attention. Mr. Miller, I think it is time to consider additional security measures. If she really is contacting dangerous people, this could get ugly. I am going to speak with a contact in the police department. They can offer special surveillance, given that there is already an active complaint. And what do we do in the meantime? Stay in the house. Do not go out unless it is absolutely necessary. And if you see something suspicious, call 911 immediately. That night, Michael and I took turns sleeping. One rested while the other watched the monitors. It was absurd. We seemed like soldiers in a war zone, but the fear was real. On Monday morning, Attorney Stevens called us. I have news. The police are going to send a patrol to watch your house for the next 72 hours. It is the most they can offer without a more concrete threat. Also, I managed to get them to move up Emily's appearance. It is no longer Tuesday. It is today at 5 in the afternoon. Today, I repeated. Yes, they want to resolve it quickly, given the documented threats. She will receive the schedule change notification in approximately an hour. Most likely, she will react badly. She already reacted badly several times, I murmured. I know that is why the surveillance. Stay alert. Around noon, the cameras caught a patrol car parking in front of the house. 2 officers got out and rang the doorbell. I opened, and they showed me their badges. They were officers assigned for preventive surveillance. Mr. Miller, we are going to be here 24 hours. 12-hour shifts. If you need anything or see anything suspicious, just let us know. I felt a little calmer knowing there were police outside. Michael also seemed to relax a bit. At 2 in the afternoon, we received a message from an unknown number. It was a photo of Emily crying with a swollen face and runny makeup. The message said, "Look what you did to her, monsters." Michael deleted the message without replying. At 3, another message from the same number. You are still in time to fix it. Withdraw everything, and this ends. We ignored that one too. At 4, Emily arrived at the station with her lawyer. We were not required to be present at this stage. It was just her statement. But Attorney Stevens did attend to represent us. He called us an hour later. It is over. She denied everything. She says you gave her verbal permission to use the card for family emergencies. She says the purchases were for her brother who was going through a difficult time. She says you are defaming her because you never accepted her marriage with Michael. All that is a lie, I said. I know, and the detective knows it too. The evidence is too clear. They told her the case will advance to the judicial stage and they could issue an arrest warrant if they find sufficient indications. They also notified her she is prohibited from approaching you or your son. And how did she react? She left crying and screaming that this is an injustice. Her lawyer looked uncomfortable. I do not think she will last long representing her. That night, for the first time in days, Michael and I slept relatively calmly. The patrol was outside. The cameras were recording everything. Emily was prohibited from approaching, but at 4 in the morning, the alarm went off. I woke up with a start, heart racing. Michael ran out of his room. The motion sensors in the backyard had detected something. I ran to the monitor. The cameras showed a hooded figure trying to force the back door. Immediately, I called the officers watching out front. "There is someone trying to enter through the back," I shouted into the phone. "We are on it, sir. Do not leave the house." I heard footsteps running along the side of the house. Shouts. The sound of a struggle. Michael and I stood in the living room, paralyzed, listening. 5 minutes later, one of the officers knocked on the front door. "Mr. Miller, it is under control. We caught someone." We went out. In the side yard, handcuffed against the patrol car, was a man of about 30, thin with tattoos on his arms. I did not recognize him. "Who is he?" I asked myself. "He says Emily Miller paid him $1,000 to scare an old man. We gave him her info and address. He did not know there was a patrol. We already called for backup. He is going to be arrested for trespassing and attempted robbery." I looked at the man. He avoided my gaze. "She hired you for this." He did not answer. The officer continued, "We are going to interrogate him formally. This is additional evidence against Mrs. Miller. Attempted intimidation, hiring third parties to commit crimes. The case is growing." Michael let himself fall against the wall, running his hands over his face. How far is she willing to go? That was exactly the question that terrified me, because clearly Emily had no limits. On Tuesday morning, Attorney Stevens arrived at the house with news that would change everything. He carried a thick folder and an expression that mixed professional satisfaction with genuine concern. "Mr. Miller Michael," he started as we sat in the dining room. "The detention of the subject last night was the break we needed. He confessed everything. Emily paid him to intimidate you. She gave him your address, showed him photos, told him exactly what to do. There are WhatsApp messages, bank transfers, everything documented." Michael released the air he had been holding. "So is it over?" "Not entirely, but we are very close. The prosecutor issued an arrest warrant against Emily early this morning. They arrested her 2 hours ago at the apartment. She is in holding, waiting for her first hearing." I felt a mix of relief and something resembling sadness. Despite everything she had done, it was hard not to think about the woman I once believed was part of my family. "What is going to happen now?" I asked. "Initial hearing tomorrow. We will present all the evidence, the credit card fraud, the documented threats, the hiring of the subject to intimidate you. Everything. With what we have, it is very likely she faces formal charges for fraud threats and criminal conspiracy. We are talking about several years in prison if found guilty." Michael closed his eyes. "I never thought we would get to this." The lawyer put a hand on the table. "Son, you did not bring her to this. She made every decision that brought her here. You only defended yourself." The following 2 days were strangely quiet. Without Emily free, without constant threats, the house recovered some peace. Michael started processing everything he had lived. I found him several times staring into the void, lost in his thoughts. "What are you thinking about?" I asked him one night while we were having dinner. About the signs I ignored. "Remember when she started going to the gym so much? I thought she just wanted to be in shape. When she started buying more expensive clothes, I thought she was taking care of herself more. When she became more distant, I thought it was stress. There was always an explanation I accepted because it was easier than facing the truth. Do not punish yourself, son. She was very convincing. You know what is the worst, Dad. That a part of me still feels something for her. Not love, not anymore. But I do not know it is confusing. It is normal. You shared years together. Affection does not disappear overnight, even if the person does not deserve it." The hearing was Thursday morning. We arrived early at the courthouse. Attorney Stevens had warned us we would see Emily, but nothing prepared me for the moment she entered escorted by 2 officers. She looked different. Without makeup hair and a simple ponytail, dressed in simple clothes they had provided her. Her eyes found mine for a second, and I saw something there that was not rage. It was fear. The hearing lasted almost 3 hours. The prosecutor presented every piece of evidence meticulously. The statements projected on a big screen, the investigators' photographs, the recordings of the threats, the testimony of the man she hired to intimidate us, the threatening messages. Emily's lawyer tried to argue that everything was a misunderstanding, that my daughter-in-law had acted under emotional pressure, that she never intended to cause real harm, but even she seemed to know it was a lost battle. When the judge dictated his resolution, his voice was clear and firm. Given the elements presented and the severity of the facts, preventive prison is decreed for the accused while the process unfolds. The charges include fraud, threats, and hiring third parties to commit crimes. Bail is set at $50,000. Emily started to cry, not with silent tears, but with deep sobs that resonated in the whole room. She looked at Michael with desperation. "Please," she begged. "Michael, please do not let them take me." My son looked forward without answering. The officers took her back. Outside the courthouse, I breathed deep for the first time in weeks. "How long will she be there?" I asked the lawyer. "The process can take between 6 months and a year. If she does not pay bail, and I doubt it, because she does not have that money, she will remain detained until sentencing. When the final trial arrives with all this evidence, she probably faces between 3 and 8 years in prison." 3 months later, life started to normalize. Michael's divorce was processed quickly, given that Emily was in prison and presented no serious opposition. The condo was sold and Michael recovered his share. With that money and some of my savings, he bought a smaller place, but completely his. The final trial arrived 7 months after the initial hearing. By then, I had decided something important. I would go see Emily before the verdict. Michael accompanied me, although he hesitated until the last moment. The visitation room in the correctional center was cold and gray. Emily entered in the institution's uniform thinner, with a face without makeup showing every year of her age and more. She sat in front of us, separated by glass. "I did not expect you to come," she said with a broken voice. "I came to tell you something I began. I spent months hating you, wishing you would pay for everything you did. And you're going to pay, legally, that is for sure. But I need peace. I need to close this chapter. So I came to tell you that with time, I'm going to forgive you. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve to live without that weight." Emily started to cry. "I am sorry. I am so sorry. I got lost on the way. The money, the attention, everything got out of my hands. Why ask Michael? Why couldn't you simply be honest? Because I was afraid. Afraid of being poor again. Afraid of not being enough. Afraid of everything. And when I met Damien, he made me feel special in a way that... I am sorry, Michael. I know there is no excuse. There is not," replied my son. "But I hope you use this time to find the person you really are. Because the woman who did this to us cannot be all there is in you." The verdict arrived 2 weeks later. 6 years in prison for aggravated fraud and threats. With good behavior, she could get out in 4. Today, 2 years after everything started, Michael has a new life. He met someone, a primary school teacher named Sophia. Genuine and warm, they are in no rush. They go slow, rebuilding trust. I recovered my money through a civil lawsuit, not all of it, but enough. More importantly, I recovered my tranquility. The cameras remain installed. Some wounds leave scars, but I no longer live with fear. Sometimes I think about everything that happened, and I realize that this story is not just about betrayal or revenge. It is about boundaries, about dignity, about understanding that love and trust have to be earned every day, and that when someone, even family, crosses certain lines, you have the right and the obligation to defend yourself. If there is something I want those listening to understand, it is: do not ignore the signs. Do not minimize abuse. And if someone betrays you, especially in matters of money and trust, act fast and with determination. Family is not a free pass to abuse. Protect yourself. Document everything and never be afraid to defend what is yours. Because at the end of the day, justice exists. You just have to have the courage to seek it.